Some breaking news, Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed among the passengers on a private jet that crashed in Russia. This is according to Interfax, citing a Russian aviation authority. Bloomberg's Annmarie Hordern joins us now from Washington. So is it possible, Annmarie, that Prigozhin has now died?
Well, according to what the AP is reporting, citing these Russian news outlets who are citing the Russian aviation, is that this was a private jet, and Yevgeny Prigozhin does seem to be an individual who was on that manifest of this private jet going from Moscow to St. Petersburg. Of course, just 2 days ago was the first time we've heard from Prigozhin, who was really exiled almost to Belarus. This was the deal he struck with Putin after that failed mutiny we had saw from the mercenary leader. This video he had put out, he was talking about freeing the continent of Africa, wearing camouflage. He had a rifle. We think potentially at that moment he was in Africa or the footage of this video was in Africa. But we did hear from him just 2 days ago in one of these videos. But it does seem, according to these news outlets, these are Russian state-affiliated news services, are talking about a private jet, a business jet that he was on, that has now crashed. So Yevgeny Prigozhin potentially has died.
Right. We should make clear that Bloomberg has not independently verified these reports, but we are hearing from Russian news agencies and from Russian aviation authorities that Yevgeny Prigozhin is at least listed among the passengers on a private jet that has crashed. What was his relationship like most recently with Vladimir Putin?
Well, it was a difficult one, of course, because he led this failed mutiny. He really had his troops on board to go right into the Red Square, right to Moscow, because he wanted to speak to President Putin, and then it was called off. It was brokered by Belarus leader Alexander Lukashenko. And then what you had then is Yevgeny Prigozhin basically no longer being the leader of the Wagner mercenary group, which for years he really was pushing Putin's foreign policy, whether it was in Syria, whether it was in Africa. He was the individual who was pushing Putin's foreign policy via the Wagner group in these places. So he's been living outside of that apparatus, outside of that close relationship with President Putin. President Putin wanted to do an investigation into this, but then it really became a mute topic, something that they didn't want to no longer discuss. But what we're hearing now is, the questions now are going to be, what happened to this private business jet and how did it go down?